Jonesy, in 1882, English cricket was declared dead. And just not long after that, you were declared alive because it's your 50th it's your 50th birthday, isn't it? Happy birthday, mate. There you go.
Certainly is. And here I am, as we've just been talking, I'm celebrating with a lovely bit of Chapel Down sparkling. Just been watching a bit of Diddley Scott with the family, and then I've been brought down to earth by our little podcast. So
having to do
but
that.
yeah, mate, 50. Wow.
Can you imagine that? Yeah, having to spend your birthday eve with me. That's a shocker, isn't it? I'll tag James Pennyfather, who's the CEO of Chapel Down, on this, so he can join in the congratulations. But yeah, 1882.
If he wants to send me a case a month for my 50th, that would be awesome.
Yeah, no. Why don't we do that? That would be good. Think of yourself
Yeah.
rather than the show. But, yeah, 1882, cricket was declared dead. Famous Sporting Times obituary notice obviously gave rise to the Ashes. And then yesterday, the McCullum's departure as head coach of the England Test side. Of course, many are asking whether that means Bazball's dead, I guess now. But I think that's a wrong question. You know what you think? I think the actual question, and what I want to discuss with you, is did Bazball change cricket forever? What do you think? Before that, how many glasses of Chapel Down sparkling wine have you had before we get into it?
Yeah, not enough.
Yeah.
Not enough for that question. Has Bazball? No, Bazball has not changed cricket forever. It's probably it's going to be left on a lot of people's minds, and the word Bazball will be around for a while, but the method of play has been sort of dwindling for a while now, and so. But don't get me wrong, there will be parts of it that absolutely I think will linger on and have influence. Yeah, for sure. With the way that we've seen batters play certain shots, Joe Root playing reverse scoops first ball of the day, he won't necessarily do that. But the way we've seen Harry Brook, and I think it's opened batters' eyes as to options that they can play in a red ball, which was historically only limited to when you were wearing colours and playing against a white ball.
The popular opinion is that Bazball's the worst thing to have ever happened to English cricket, but it has had some positives, like you say. England before that, I think, they hadn't won a test in 17 outings. All right, the record under McCullum isn't brilliant, but there were only 2 draws. At least they've made the game more entertaining, I suppose.
Yeah, and fundamentally, I understood what they were trying to do in terms of change the way that we play Test cricket. Be a bit more aggressive. Take it to the opposition. I absolutely understood that. The issue with it and the way it came unstuck was the implementation and the how and the when side of it. We never got that quite right. So the guys Keysy, when he brought in McCullum no doubt sold this sort of this picture, and I can see why Keysy went with it, because that's a sort of that style, that brand of cricket, that entertainment is what would draw the crowds in. Very great to watch. But the issue was it was never properly actually done by the team in succession and in a number of test matches to embed it and nail it and to get everyone absolutely certain as to how they should play and when they should play.
New coach is obviously going to come in. We'll have a chat at the end of this bit, try to sort of think who it could be. Harry Brook, you mentioned.
That's not very hard, that one.
No, well, yeah, we'll come to that. Harry Brook, you mentioned him earlier. Do you think he will change his style of play / is his style of play like it is because of McCullum?
Yeah, I think he definitely felt the freedom to play that way at any point, absolutely. And that's where I think that's important with the new coach that comes in. Doesn't totally take away Harry Brook and the way he plays, because he's so destructive. And in certain situations, it absolutely has its place where he could take away a test match for an opposition in a session. but it has to be the right time. It has to be when there's dominance, and and they're on their knees, and Harry Brook just does what he does, like what we've seen in recent white ball stuff, so that's the task of the new coach, is to mold Harry Brook and get him to keep further understanding about when to play those sort of shots, because around that he is still a fantastic player. When he burst on the scene, the early hundreds he got in Test match cricket were proper Test match, runs. It's just that it's lost its way a bit, and so that for me is one of the main things a new coach needs to address, nurture, and work with Harry Brook on that understanding of it, and show him how great he can be for England, just if he gets that methodology right.
McCullum gave Brook his debut, I think. So that's all that Harry Brook knows. Is there also the danger, though, that if a new coach comes in, or when the new coach comes in, that the style that that new coach will expect from Harry Brook will make him less of a player?
Well, that's the ultimate art of coaching, isn't it? That you understand the player and you work with them to get the best outcomes. And I'm sure that whoever they bring in will be highly intelligent to understand that, and not just come in and put in an oppressive blueprint on this team and try and sort of go back to not a boring style, but so that's where Keysy and Gould, these guys the next decision is an important one as to the coach that they bring in, and how that coach can work with the current talent to get us back up those Test rankings, because it's the ability's undoubtedly there. It's just that molding of the unit to get them working in the same direction. And as I keep harping on about, is the methodology in which they're playing.
Bodyline changed, how captains were, or how captains thought. Obviously, Douglas Jardine with his tactics. Kerry Packer brought in professionalism. T20 increased, or changed the economics of the game, if you like. Do you reckon Bazball has a place amongst those by virtue of how it's increased run rates and made the Test game faster paced?
I don't think Bazball can take the full credit for that. I think the evolution of cricket with T20, and the IPL and everything like that has naturally, come about. So I don't think it won't be sort of in that regard, your body line and stuff like that, because that was designed as one, just to target one player. The one thing I think Bazball is more heavily linked with a batting method. The one thing that I don't think is the bowling style of stuff. That England have remained fairly, other than the bounce, going very quickly to bouncer theory. The bowling side of stuff has been, call it traditional in a way.
Mm.
It's so Bazball for me is linked far more heavily with batting than it is the whole game.
But I mean, ultimately, Hallam's message. Remember, as I said before, he came in and took over a regime that won just one out of the previous 17 tests, right? So he came in, he said, let's attack. He said something like, first and foremost, we're entertainers. Run towards the fear or something on those lines? Try to play to win. The results, I mean, to start off with, the results were really good, weren't they? Ultimately, and he said this today, didn't he, when I guess he's being interviewed for the One Day or Tomorrow. At the end, the results weren't good enough, and that's probably what cost him his job, Bazball or not.
Yeah, and like with a lot of innovations, when you introduce them, it does take a little bit of time for opposition to work you out. Like a new batter entering that first class or the test arena. There's a bit of time where opposition may not get it quite right to you, but sooner or later they work it out, and that's what they did that with Bazball. Australia said from the outset they're not going to be able to clear our boundaries. So when they're trying to go, we're going to bowl short at them, and they're going to hit them down the fielders' throats, and that's what happened. So teams worked it out. So the initial success, I'm not surprised at, because it was it was different to how people were playing it, but very quickly they worked out how to keep it in control in a way.
Well, then that goes back to my original question as to whether Bazball changed cricket, because the way that England approached a poor period was to go the way they went, and great results, and that forced other countries to adapt the way that they played. So, by inference, Bazball has had an effect, a lasting effect on Test cricket.
What other countries have what again, are you talking both sides of it or the bat? You know, I don't see many other countries adopting the Bazball batting method, you know, when they're under pressure. You know, this recent series against New Zealand showed that, and you know, Mitchell took us apart at the end, you know, but he'd worked flipping hard to earn that right, and that's what Bazball tried to flip around, is that why should we hang around and let's take it back to them. So there's a level of it, yes. There's a level of it, and now batters will make that. Batters will probably be making that decision a bit and be slightly more aggressive. But the reason I'm not putting Bazball in a way the class of the others is because it it was a bit too far the other way. You know, it didn't have continued success. A little bit of an immediate impact, but
Mm.
over a period of time, it showed. And also, we didn't change laws for it. You know, that's where Bodyline got a law change.
Yeah, sure.
You know,
Uh, yeah, I mean, look, I think ultimately other teams. I was going to, when you asked me that question about other teams adapting the stuff, or which other teams played like that, I was going to say Travis Head, but actually, I was thinking about it. The way Travis Head batted, the first 50 runs he got were fairly traditional, and he forced England into trying to bump him, and then he took off, right? So probably wasn't Bazball, but that goes back. It goes back to that question um, of how Bazball will be remembered. And I think it will be remembered poorly because of its recklessness and the fact that McCullum set out for England to be entertainers more so than winning. We wanted to bring the crowds back and, first and foremost be entertainers, and kind of forgot about about winning. And that made England a bit of a laughing stock, I think, on the global stage. But there's elements of Bazball, certainly the batting style, that we probably could carry on with in the future. And, I think if Test cricket, whoever's playing it, went back to when you can't, even you actually, to be fair, your series was quite entertaining, wasn't it? Because you had the likes of KP, Flintoff, Gilchrist, Hayden playing in it. So they were untraditional, I guess, as Test batters. But it'd be nice to think that Test cricket took elements of the way that England batted in this Bazball period and kept with it going forward.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. As a kick, I think and that what you meant, my series there, and even what came to mind when you were talking was Adam Gilchrist's incredible 100 in the 06-07 Ashes series where he got 100 at Perth.
Yeah.
That was an individual doing it. I think that, you also said about reckless, and that sort of struck me as a fair word to use, and that's what as a fan and someone who's played was watching it. It was that impression. Hang on a minute, this is just reckless. Whereas when it's worked for individuals in the past, like that knock of Gilchrist, that wasn't reckless. That was very calculated at the right time to the right balls, and so and probably other innings that you can come to mind where an individual has taken it away from a team. They haven't been reckless; they've just been. You mentioned Travis Head. I never looked at that. Over the course of the Ashes, never once looked and thought he's just being reckless here. He's actually been very calculated,
Yeah.
and that's the bit going forward that England need to really get a grip with and hang on to is how can we be calculated and in an aggressive manner that suits our batters?
If you look at it, I suppose we talked about results. In the end, got smashed in Australia. Win the Ashes back under his tenureship. Inability to consistently beat the best teams, India and in Australia, and ultimately, I guess the tactics adopted against them didn't work. But as we said it sort of came to me just now in a previous show a few months ago. I think I remember saying, are we not better off having tried something new that didn't work than to have just gone along in the way that we'd gone on before with the same outcome, right? So you might as well try something new. All right, we gave it, 4 years, didn't work, move on. I think that's fair, don't you?
100%. And I link it with football managers. When a football team brings in a manager, they bring them in for their method, for their style, because the powers that be like that style, and they think that style is going to fit and have success. We're talking about with Tuchel, with England football. He's been brought in for his style of getting this team ready and the proven success he's had. But at some point with football, if the style doesn't work, yeah, let's clear out and let's get a new guy in. And that's what you see. And that's sort of each guy has a lifespan, really. It's pretty much an anomaly if you get the likes of Wenger, these guys that go for a long time. Stephen Fleming, he's just recently announced his retirement, 18 years. That's bloomin' rare in sport nowadays. And so so that's the thing. You sell a dream to these owners, to these powers that be, and they either go with it, they like it, they take it on, or you don't get the job. And so they have to back that dream for a while. And so that's comes back to what I was saying. I can totally understand why Rob Key loved the vision that Brendan McCullum presented, because it made sense. It made you look at it and you think, you know what? Yes, that's what I agree with. That's what I think we're capable of, because we've got extremely talented players. I'm going to give you the opportunity to do it.
Thompson Gould and Rob Key are going to stay in place for the foreseeable. In fact, Richard Gould on an interview said that the ECP were giving Rob Key their long-term support. Right, so they're locked in, they're in place, and the search for the next coach now starts. They've said they want the coach in place before Pakistan and before the captain, obviously, is announced as well. Who are the contenders? Have you got a list of any people? I'll throw a couple in as well if you don't mention.
I've got my list
Geraint
is one,
Jones, for
and
example.
oh yeah, take it
Yeah, put
on.
your name in the
Sell
hat.
them a dream. I don't know what that dream yeah.
Chapel Down sparkling wine and golf courses.
Chapel Down.
Yeah, that's it.
No, I think that's proven that
I
doesn't
think that's
work.
that's been the problem. Let's not mention golf.
No, yeah. Now I think it's, especially with the announcement that they've made adjustments on the fact that the England coach can keep basically their IPL franchise commitment. So that just screams to me Andy Flower. He's the fact he can do his IPL. He's and he's widely regarded as the best coach around. So let's try and get the best coach. Let's fudge some stuff. Let's slightly move it to And Andy Flower probably said, "Yeah, I'll do it, but these are the circumstances. I want to do this. I want to be able to do that." Andy Flower's a guy that has, outside the IPL, he's done other franchises just to keep his coaching brain ticking over. He's that sort of character. And I even read something that he's slightly mellowed since the first time he did it with England, and I imagine he's a strict. I've never played under him, but I imagine he's quite he has, I'm going to say strict. Yeah, he's probably got a strictness to him, being the style of person he is. But I've heard he's mellowed on that, so there may be a bit of leeway and a bit of understanding as a coach now. So for me, yeah, my list is one, Andy Flower.
That's a long list of
Yeah.
one. Yeah, because obviously with Charles Cook, etc., took England to the top of the Test rankings, didn't he? So yours one. Other names been thrown about. Somebody Richard Dawson, who's a Glamorgan, but coached you at Gloucestershire. Fred's been, his name, as obviously as a Lions coach, has been chucked in the hat, but I think he's already said he doesn't want to do it. I think he'd said he didn't want to do it either. The one for me, IPL coach also is Justin Langer. I think Justin Langer will bring the discipline and the ferocity that England need. You know, for not only the curfew, for them to put out a statement saying, for England players to question whether they should drink during test matches or not. So nonsense like that. Justin Langer, I think, would come in and just read the riot act and be tough on them. I can already tell by your face that you vehemently disagree.
Have you seen the Prime Video documentary?
That's not how I talk, mate, is it?
Sorry, no, I need to be more Australian than that.
Scandalous. But that's what's going around my head is a bit of that, a bit of the snippets that have been put out, the way he, the way he spoke with Usman Khawaja, and again, they're small moments. And there was a reason why the players had a bit of a revolt and against him, is because I think you mentioned intensity. Yes, you can have intensity, but to have nothing but intensity wears you down. Australia have long periods of time where they don't play as a country. England is completely different. England is in demand as a team 12 months of the year. And the analogy is county cricket. It's a long season, and there is parts where it's probably not as intense as others because the nature of it simply can't be. I'd relate England cricket a little bit to that, and people are going to go, well, what? They're paid all this money. They should be. I'm not saying they're not up for it every day. I don't think you can have that, the sort of in your face, sort of coach at you every day. That coach has got to have subtle times where they go, okay, no, I need to ramp this up. Yeah, okay. I can tell the mood around the squad. Let's just back off a bit. Let's give them a bit of time. Justin Langer may have that in his locker.
Yeah.
It's just that's what the impression I get from seeing, and it's just manufactured TV. It's Instagram reels. Is that he comes across as a person who is just always intense. And I just don't think that would probably fit with an England group that is pretty much together 12 months of the year.
Was he like that in 05 as well?
Yeah, that's the way he played. That's he's a little brawler. They beat us 3-0, and he was more interested in giving it to the Barmy Army. So he's because he was up for it. It was his last series. He was an angry little man. He wanted to beat us. Absolutely wanted to beat us 5-0, and that's what I mean. For that series, for one series, yes, absolutely, give it to us. Give it, sort of get stuck in with the Barmy Army. Give it back to them because they probably, they've been giving you stick for all these years, and so. But I just think with the amount of cricket and the time that England spend together as a group, that would wear them down fairly quickly if that was the only method of coaching style. Which again, he may not be like that. It's only my perception of what I see on Amazon, as you said to me in that voice, and bits like that.
Aaron Lehman's another one who's been mentioned. I forgot about Buff. I guess final question for this section. Do you think Bazball will be remembered as like a defining revolution in cricket or just a crazy experiment that went wrong?
Yeah, more the latter. I don't think it sort of it's been held in enough regard to be a defining sort of everlasting thing.
So just 4 months after India became the T20 world champions, come here, and now they're facing questions. Got beat by Ireland 2-0, first time that's ever happened, and lost a series here against England, and within that suffered their largest ever international T20 defeat of 125 runs. I mean, look, there's some mitigating circumstances, right? Some players aren't here. I'll tell you who those are. Shreyas Iyer has come in as captain. He's replaced Surya Kumar Yadav. Rinku Singh's not here. Kuldeep Yadav's not here. They've rested Bumrah and Siraj, and Hardik Pandya's injured. Right, so fine. Let's lay that out. But then they have got the superstar that's Suryavanshi here, and they've got some other players that we may or may not have heard of that have done well in the IPL. But do you think India have basically accelerated the reset too quickly after winning that T20 World Cup?
I don't know if they're having a reset. Yeah, I can see how they're giving some opportunities because, like you say, it's been 4 months since that World Cup win, and basically since that time, they've been pretty busy, and so bowlers that they've rested, and that's been the key. They've been whacked for runs. They haven't, you know, against England especially, they haven't.
Yeah.
They haven't been able to restrict England, and any team without Bumrah, especially, it's a different kettle of fish. So
yeah, sure.
it's a sort of a B side, really. And maybe that's something that is, the powers that be in India, it could get the backlash about is why haven't we sent a stronger side out? And, because we're now on the back of this embarrassment, it's not in a million years would you have expected the Ireland result for a start.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
England, yes, could be capable, but the Ireland result was the more the shocking one, and the one which will cause the higher level of embarrassment than what's happened with England, because England's a flipping good side now. They've gone to number one in the world now, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. Do you think the IPL is obviously producing lots of really good players? Do you think, to an extent, it's an embarrassment of riches?
I haven't watched enough of it, and this is so. I'm making a bit like you last week. I'm making a complete guess on something that we.
Oh, that was my Ben Folkes stuff.
The IPL.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Ben Folkes selection. I'm going down that guesswork, but again, my perception is the IPL is played on very good wickets, tiny boundaries.
Yeah.
And so it becomes a bit of a hitting fest, and that's what it's known for. The amount of sixes that hit. So coming at Ireland, there's no way Ireland would have been a hitting fest, and that showed them. And so that adaptability, that's what it's probably highlighted more than anything, is outside of the IPL. What's India's adaptability levels like? That's probably a better thing to focus on in terms, than anything else.
Last summer, wasn't it, when India were here playing the Test series that ended up 2-2. They looked a very good side. Yes, all right, they had all their superstars in place, but India can play outside of India. It's generally thrown at India, isn't it? They can only win at home, but has it again exposed the frailties in India's technique away from home?
Yeah, again, you touched on Test cricket there. Test cricket's over 5 days. T20s is such a condensed, and so I think what it's all. Take Suryavanshi for example. On those Indian wickets with shorter boundaries, he's dominated. He's sort of. We've talked recently of this. This guy. He's a once in a generation. He's a legacy player. He's going to be unbelievable. Well, England just on a quicker wickets, they've attacked him, and he's not sort of had that success. He's got mid-teens, and those shots in India he's able to play because of the lack of pace on the wickets. Bit more pace on it. He's been exposed slightly, so there's those sort of elements to it. I think so. There's no doubt India are still they're very, very good players. But just we didn't see their best players, and so and we're up against an England team that were very good, but because they do show that they can play around. They can play, but around the world, but they're very much at home on their own surfaces.
One thing England have done well, the bowlers, they've bowled full and not allowed the Indians to get underneath it, and as you say, just dump it into the boundary, which I think some would say, if you look at a lot of the IPL shots, that's pretty much what happens. Great swing of the bat, but the ball is shorter than England have been bowling. So it does show that England, but at home bowl differently. Bowling to the conditions more so than India are battered to the conditions. But we spoke in the earlier section about obviously McCullum and coaches. Gautam Gambhir is another spiky character. And he intermittently has been under pressure at home. Do you think that this defeat, which is sort of pushed India towards playing ultra aggressive cricket, I suppose, do you think this defeat kind of will be detrimental to his future?
He's a punchy character. Even when he played, he was spiky, wasn't he? He was that. So he, and when Indian cricket carries so many emotions with it, there's pressure in it, so you're under the spotlight all the time. And there's been occasions where that's probably flowed over from Gambia with it when they do an overlook of this series. They've been over here combining going to Ireland and then coming to England. If he's just imagine him sat in front of a panel answering questions. They're going to be firing at him. That's the nature of Indian cricket, is that they expect results. So he's going to have to answer some questions, and whether or not he can go back and say, well, hang on a minute, well, I've done it because I wanted to have a look at these players, because yes, we've just won the World Cup, but we won it with guys who are coming to the end. So we needed to have a look at these other players to expose them, to make some decisions on them. I still know I've got Bumrah to call on with the batting, Pandya to come in. I know I've got that up my sleeve, but yet we're really disappointed with it. But it's been great to see these players exposed, because it's given me an idea on whether or not they're suitable going forward. It's just whether they accept that or they don't say, off you go.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, is if you're going to be relying on a Bumrah and a Hardik Pandya and whoever to get you out of trouble. Virat Kohli's playing in the ODIs that start tomorrow. You have got a situation there where, where is you're not really going forward, are you? Because you're still relying on a couple of players to get you out of a hole. It's a bit like England football, isn't it? With Kane and Bellingham, just relying on those two to get us through. Through that World Cup. So, but with England and with England cricket, is it just simply a case that England are just too good in this instance? I think
so.
Yeah, I think that's what that story is, isn't it?
From the batting to put those totals on was, Phil Salt, pretty much every batter, Brook, the way he did, Butler. You've got names here who are just world class, and so that for me was the difference, is that our batters came together and put some ridiculous totals on, which India, we're just never going to be able to get. And so the biggest thing for India to look at will be the bowlers. That's probably the biggest concern they'll have going, is why were the England batters, as good as they are, why were they able to score as easily as they did?
Their assistant coach, Brian Tenduskarta's, admitted that, that they underperform overseas. That can't just be a conditions thing, can it? Or is it?
No, I think it's potentially the whole going away from home and sort of the cultural differences. Yes, they're under a massive spotlight at home, but they're also they're royalty, so they're so well looked after. I'm not saying they're not as well looked after overseas, but certain elements are going to be different. Living in the hotels that they are, maybe even have, they'll probably enjoy a bit more freedom outside it. So yeah, that's the nature of touring, of traveling, isn't it? Adapting to each different place you go, because I imagine they don't have to do a single thing for themselves when at home. It's all done for them, because it has to be, because they're superstars. They can't go out in public. So very much they're surrounded by probably friends and family, and that's their network. Whereas just slightly different going overseas, slightly different bubble, is a more relaxed bubble. And that's all the stuff to work out, because touring India is different to anywhere else, completely different. I remember playing some one days, and we, so India take it to all the different, the provinces in India, what do they, or states?
Yeah, states.
They take it, and so states. So it goes around, they share around, and we happened to get a set of 7 ODIs that were really spread out into some different areas. And we just went for a pizza we went to a shopping centre and actually just wanted to sit down and have a pizza. And by the end of it, it was glass fronted. It was just packed, 5 deep with people the whole way, just sort of staring in and looking. In the end, we had to sort of go out the back and fire escape to be able to get it. And that's so never, ever anywhere else, in the world, do you experience that sort of level of stuff. So, you'd think that would negatively impact you playing at home, but I think that what they've got in place for those guys gives them a level of comfort, which potentially overseas is a big difference.
Also, they don't play overseas for franchises, I don't think. They basically play the IPL, and there's very few of them who go off and play domestic cricket, so they're not getting the international experience of playing in different conditions. So I guess when they do go and tour as India, for a lot of them, it's the first time that they've played overseas. So you can understand why, with a side that's missing a few of their more established players, these results have happened.
And that's a great point. It's something that the BCCI needs to look at, is because with now these IPL franchises becoming global, and that's the thing is, why aren't we seeing them in the 100? I haven't looked at if they've got other cricket going on.
Yeah.
But now we've got this buy-in from Indian franchises. Why aren't we seeing these Indian superstars coming and play, especially when they're here for an ODI series to stay on? And so that's maybe we will in time, but currently, and that's something the BCI maybe need to relax their stance on, because they're very much the authority on what they let players do or don't do. And so that could be something Gambia needs to go back and say, our players need to play overseas. If we want to truly have success outside of India, you have to let them go and play all around the world.
We tend to give Harry Brook some stick on this show, and we aren't the only ones in the media who do that. But we've got to praise him, I think, for his captaincy and the way he's batted also in the T20 and white ball generally. Do you think he's quietly building, a one-day side that's capable of winning World Cups?
Well, you'd argue if the World Cup started next week, we'd be favourites, judging on that performance. With those batters we've got. It was great to see Butler back in form, getting those runs. So that was a massive positive. And so Harry Brook will be. His batting we know about. It's ridiculous in a white ball. What the power he can do, the shots and stuff, and and McCullum praises him for his captaincy. And so I think they carry on playing like that. Then with Harry Brook, winning brings confidence. So the longer we can keep winning in that manner, the confidence in the team will be just through the roof. We just need to, when it's at its highest, we need a global tournament to happen.
Yeah, we said a couple of weeks ago that we asked the question, didn't we? Was McCullum and Brook England's worst nightmare? I think McCullum and Brook in the white ball format is probably England's godsend. Glad you got the sparkling wine from Chapel Down on the go, because it is silly point. Now you love this bit. What did you do last week? Who was it? It was Doug the Rug, wasn't it? Doug the Rug Bollinger last week. Bollinger, we should have done that this week, shouldn't we?
If only. Oh my gosh! If only I was drinking that.
Yeah, no, if only I'd done. I had actually planned it last week, and I thought about it as opposed to making it up, like I did. Right, you ready for this one?
Yeah. You could have sent me a bottle.
Who? Doug could. Yeah, we'll message him. We'll ask him.
No, you.
Me? Oh yeah. Well, I'm doing this. Wish you happy birthday to the wide world, mate. That will do. Right, who am I? You ready? As a teenager, climbing the competitive local leagues, my standout performances were for a club called City Cricketers. So he played his club cricket for City Cricketers, and then at 19 played for his state. Do you know what an interesting fact about City Cricketers is? My grandfather started.
It's not in the city; it's in the country.
No, my grandfather started it. There you go. That's my interesting fact, which does give you a clue as to what country this bloke's from. So there you have it. Yeah, my granddad started City Cricketers. This chap prioritises education, and he's got a Bachelor of Engineering in Mechanical Engineering. So there you go. Clever chap as well as playing professional cricket. He's also an avid photographer, and also when he was travelling on international duty, took photos, and he published a coffee table book called Wide Angle. If you've ever had that before, something seems to be stirring. Someone might have given it to you. You haven't got a signed copy of it in your coffee table in your lounge, have you? He's a vegetarian, this chap. Vegetarian, and he obviously loves animals because he fronted a national advocacy campaign for PETA about a few years ago. What else can I tell you? He pivoted into tech after playing and co-founded a specialised sports training and technology company called Spectacom. He invented the Power Bat. This company. It was a smart cricket sticker. It was a sticker that went on the bat, and it measured the power and the speed and all that stuff. What are you doing with your hands? I do this every week. Or is that still? It's not so much. It's not so much your face; it's your hands go AWOL. And I sort of feel that
that's
we
my
did
thinking.
have cheating once, didn't we, in the Ashes? So I'm just stuck on that. When they were playing the West Indies once in 2002 in Antigua, Mervyn Dillon smashed into his jaw, or he fractured his jaw, but he refused to sit it out, this bloke. And bandages everywhere. And he came out to bowl 14 consecutive overs and got rid of the great Brian Lara, looking like, Michelin man. What else do you want to know? He got 100 at the Oval in 2007. It was his only international century, 110, and Richie Benaud called it one of the most popular hundreds in Test cricket history, this bloke. So there are a lot of clues there. You've had 7 now. Normally you get it about this sort of point, 7, 8, that sort of area. 1999 against Pakistan in a Test match at the Feroz Kotla, which was in Delhi. He probably played there. He became only the second bowler in history to take a 10-for in one innings. Took 10 for 74 in the second innings against Pakistan. Not many people have done that.
Is it Murali? No, Murali never got 100. What am I on about?
No,
Absolutely.
no,
nothing.
exactly. His 100 is probably like the number of runs you got at Lord's added up together. He started off wanting to be a fast bowler, like a lot of these guys are, I guess. And then, basically coaches turned him into what he ended up bowling. What was that?
Was he a left arm spinner?
Well, he was a right hand spinner. Then 9 questions.
I should know from the 10th.
And question 10, or fact 10, you'll get it from. So I'll just, What else can I tell you?
I'm not sure. I'm at the empty glass, so I'm
that's true. Okay, well, this is fact number 10 is that you played with him in the Hong Kong Sixes that we did.
Kumble.
Yeah. Anil Kumble is the answer.
I remember him bandaged up. Yes. Yeah. Anil Kumble. I could not pick him. He could have got me out for fun. He could have got me out every over he bowled at me.
Who were the by the way, it's victory for me. We'll get that in. But on that then, who were
I got that.
Oh yeah, okay, you did get it, but I think if you get to 10 and I say you played with him in the Sixes, that is a moral victory for me. Who else can you pick? We've only got 5 minutes. Let's just
I found him incredibly hard, and the players what they talked about was his little feet. So for his wrong, and his little finger would poke out the side, but his arm was so quick, and he bowled at a good pace from height. So stuff like sweeping, and so he took a lot of my options out of the game, and so he was a nemesis of mine. That is for sure.
Did you pick Murley?
The benefit I had of Murley is that when he came to Kent in 2003,
Oh yeah,
I
of
had
course.
the chance to sit behind him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I felt I still, but saying that, I still do remember playing Murley at Trent Bridge, and playing what I thought was the most perfect forward defence, covering everything. Yep, and just to hear my off stump being clattered into, that's another memory of like, well, that's the best I've got, and it's still not good enough.
Historic occasions just finished at Lord's. Didn't go England's way because India thumped them by 270 runs. It was the first time a women's test match has been held at the home of cricket. Couple of interesting sort of honours, I guess. Yastika Bhatia became the first woman on the away team honours board. She got 100. Even Tendulkar and Ricky Ponting on that board, on that board. So well done to her. And on the home side, Sophie Eccleston, she took 5 for 18, so she's the first woman from the home side to be on there. Goffey's not on there, and Alistair Cook's not on there. You're not on there, are you? You can get 100 at Lords at any point, did you? No, we'll move on from
Don't know
that.
if I got 100 in all my knocks there, to be honest.
Didn't you? What, add them all up together?
Yeah.
But what was great was that before I was there for day one, great to be there to see the first ever ball bowled in that. Lauren Filer bowled that. But more than 50 ex-internationals came, and they brought the bell out onto the outfield, and they were all there ringing it. A lot of the 2017 World Cup winning side were there. Play a lot of T20 stuff, played ODIs. The Ashes is a multi-test format, but do you think that women's cricket should just play more test matches as a single format?
Yeah, absolutely. And to cover off the first part of what you're saying there, watching those pictures of all those ex-players coming out and the sheer joy on their face at being able to do that, and a number of them there ringing the bell, that for me was utterly brilliant. So whoever was behind that thinking, and whether it was a collaboration, ECB, MCC, whoever did, they must be applauded. Because that was so good. That the laughing, the joy, and so that for me was one of the moments of the test match. And then to answer your second bit, absolutely, that's the one thing that is important, that we play more test matches, because it's a different format, and if anything, the way England performed highlights the need to play more multi-day. I understand the only multi-day cricket that's played in England is played by academies, which can be, so that the younger group, let's call them, 14 to 19-year-olds, and they don't play that much of it. But the reason they play it is to learn the skill of batting longer periods, because it's different to T20, and you could, by just playing T20s and 50 over cricket, you'll learn. It's essentially learning to bat. You're only batting in a very similar way. But when all of a sudden, when you're put under pressure with players around you, a bit of a turning ball, or the ball's just swinging and nibbling, that was, so that is a completely different kettle of fish. So that's probably what's highlighted, and that's why the call for, because I think it'll only make them better players. By playing multi-day cricket, learning. It's a test of technique, so your technique gets shown up like it doesn't in longer form, and so it can only be good. It's just how fitting again. Coming back to the old scheduling, how does it fit in?
But
because
on the go on.
Because I was going to say, because Gowd that got 5 for. I watched her. That was her seam position, her presentation, everything she did with it. she created nicks. She bowled. You don't essentially get that with. You get a little bit of it early on with the white ball, but for me, it's 70 miles an hour, which is good pace in women's cricket.
Yeah.
That being put under pressure, top of off, if you learn to bat, if you can get through that and find them, that is going to hold you in great stead no matter what cricket you play.
The overriding sentiment in the media centre after day one was, isn't it refreshing to see proper Test cricket being played again? That's pretty much what most of the journos and the broadcasters saying. Is like, it's just great to see proper Test cricket being played, which is huge credit for the women who took part, in that. Brilliant stuff to see, proper technique, respect, line and length, as you said. The spinners towards the end got some, there were some really good shots played. Opening batters batted like opening batters. It was really, really good to see. But I tell you what, and I wish you'd like this, because I'm doing my normal. But I'm going to tell you something, and I can't remember who I'm talking about. So you're going to say, really good, good research is normal, mate. I think it's no, I'm not even going to try and guess who it was. But she was fielding a short on the offside, kind of silly it off, and somebody who was, I can't remember, hissed it at her, and she took a catch. And honestly, it was one of the best catches you'll ever see, because she doesn't flinch, she doesn't move, and it just noise.
I think it was Gosh.
Yeah, it was.
Off
Yeah,
Rana, and it
yeah,
was.
it was. Yeah, that's the
it
one.
was Villiers.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
It was
She
Villiers.
smashes it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, so there's an element of luck in terms of the ball was on the hands, but for the hands to be there, you need to be not flinching in the first place and having an excellent amount of bravery and technique to keep low, because she didn't lift up or anything. I mean, that for me was one of the standout moments of that Test match, and it's it's for we there's a lot, if we've been guilty of it to a certain extent, but certainly if you read social media, women can't field, they drop catches all the time and blah, blah, blah. And yes, all right, people drop catches, men and women, but that bit of fielding was brilliant. So there's no question here. It was just a rant from my side, or just a rant.
I also love the nonchalant celebration when she did it. Like, it went in there, it was just tossed up in the air. Yeah. She turned around, and after a few steps, she then wrung her hand out and was like, "Oh my gosh!" But
did you see the keeper's
reaction?
that the keeper was like hands head in the hands type thing. How the hell have you done that? That was great to see. I like the multi format thing that we have in the Ashes, where you play with points, isn't it? You play a test, you play some one days, and you play some T20s. Do you think that's a natural next step, or do you think it's just play test matches?
What do you mean? Each series?
Yes, each series is a multi.
Each
series is a multi-format series, and then you've got points. It's Jeopardy. We always talk about. There's two things you talk about on this show. One is Jeopardy, and the other one's angles, that you haven't mentioned that for a while. Jeopardy. This is Jeopardy.
And lack of research.
That is the other one as well. Yeah, poor research. I like the multi-format thing. What do you reckon? Should be the staple.
Yeah,
or
no.
do you think...
Yeah, no. I think it works, because with it, we've seen it with Ashes in years gone past with the women. It just keeps you interested in it, and so there's keeping that that jeopardy, or having something on each match going on is important, and it keeps us as fans invested. So you might get off to a poor start, but you still think, oh, we've still got this. So if we perform well in this match, it gets us back in it, and we're then back in with a chance. So I do like the multi-format point system, and it's it's something that possibly the ECB might explore. But then it also, is it something that is, again, a bit sacred with the women's Ashes? Is it something that is just kept to that because they want that to be very special with it?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
And also, and because of the nature of it, to go and tour it's a longer tour to the Ashes for that, and also for other countries coming over here into our condensed season when it's there's so much going on. Is it just practically not possible to do it? I don't know.
Well, maybe then the ICC should look at creating a women's World Test Championship, and everybody plays Test cricket. That might be one way of doing it, because I like the World Test Championship as a tournament, if you like, that's got a final. Again, there is some jeopardy in the whole thing, but should Test cricket be the pinnacle of the women's game like it is in the men's game? Because currently, obviously, it isn't, because there isn't enough played. I was amazed. I think Sophie Eccleston, who has been around for ages, and has become England's leading wicket taker across all formats, beating Catherine Shiver-Brunt's record, has only played 10 tests. Did you see that? There was actually facts in that whole statement. That's good. That was proving some research gets done.
She's probably played one test match, every 18 months, I suppose. Now, I think listening to the players talk, they held the test match in great regard. They want to play more of it because, they see the value of it. So, it's one of those things. If the players want it, I suppose what it could well boil back down to is finances. To put on a 4-day test match is expensive. How well supported will they be in other countries? Yes, you'll probably get very good crowds in England because women's sport in England is so well supported and right. So, you probably get okay crowds in Australia, but then where will it have that same draw everywhere else?
I think India's
so then it
interesting,
comes
isn't
back
it?
to the costs of it.
Yeah, I think India's interesting with the rise in the support for their women's team after they won the World Cup, last year, the 50-over World Cup last year, has risen. Last week we talked about the tier system here in women's cricket. Oh, by the way, commiserations for your loss in the final, or not. You didn't get to the final. Finals day, I guess. Lost to Gloucestershire, didn't you? Then lost to Glam. We'll move on. We'd have to talk about that. We'll move on. I was just going to mention it.
Raw. It's still
raw.
Very raw.
No, we'll leave it at that, mate. Don't worry, I won't mention it again. No, I won't mention it again. The we talked about the depth of the number of girls coming through and playing, and can the system support that? I guess that's true also then for the professional game, because Tammy Beaumont and Heather Knight, again, two great stalwarts of English cricket, have retired. We spoke last week about maybe some of the older, there's 3 or 4 others. There was Lindsay Smith, Danny Wyatt-Hodge, the captain, Nat Shiver-Brunt, and Amy Jones, who, by the way, first wicketkeeper to score 250s in a match, which is good going. All in their 30s, and they're going to come to an end. We're not going to go back into does the system support more players, because as we spoke about with the men's side, with India, you've got to give players chances. Tammy a bit better, wouldn't she, a Kent girl?
Absolutely, and if well, I'd quite happily have her back at Kent if she's, if she listens into this and she's thinking about what to do next, But I think Tammy, she's done quite a bit of media work, hasn't she? And so and she alluded to it. It's she understood, I think, that it's time, time for the next brigade. She's had an amazing career. I remember seeing Tammy in the indoor school at the county ground at Canterbury. She was probably 11, 12, something like that. She was a wicket keeper at that point, and I was, I might have even been playing for England, and sort of she was doing some work with a coach I know well, Ray Willis, and I think I had a chat with her, and and so from her parents, my local cricket club here, Sandwich, her parents were the absolute heartbeat of the junior section there. So to see Tammy come through and have the success she's had, to score the runs. But I think Tammy she's still got the ability to play, whether or not she'll still play tier 1 stuff, or she might just become a try and do some franchise, or go into the media. But that's ultimately the next step for her and Heather as to what they do. But what the women's game is crying out for is more coaches. And so for two players with that level of experience, and Heather's captain aside, I would, I'd be the ECB or wherever it is, I'd be pleading with them to please try some coaching. We need you. We need your experience, because it's, women's games need more women's coaches, and you can't get two more experienced international players than that. And so hopefully they come back into the game. I think Heather has said that that's something she wants to do, and she wants to, after a holiday, which is fair enough. So that would be my plea, is to how can we get them to get into the coaching sphere and to impart that knowledge on the young players coming through.
I heard Catherine Sciver-Brunt talking on TMS saying she's done her level 3 badges now. I think she did her levels 1 and 2 ages ago. She's done her 3 now, so it sounds very much like she's going to go into coaching. I guess that's the beauty now, isn't it? I think I said to you before we started, I was having lunch with Alex Blackwell, the great Australian women's captain from the 2010 World Cup the other day, and she does that. She sort of, that's great. I mean, she does juggle a few other things, but she coached Lancashire for a bit. And then I think it was Sydney Thunder she coached as well, and then also does media work. But there is that opportunity, isn't it, to do both, to be able to sort of follow a media career as well as coach.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of the women's grade game progressing. So as it has in the last 10 years, is that so whereas before giving up so much sacrifice to play for your county, play for your country in the women's game, and then for it to end and you almost, okay, right, then you had to go and do something else. Whereas now you've got the chance to stay within the game and to progress. And so that's the beauty of what's happening. And so that's what I mean with them giving back and coming into the coaching side of it would be immense, because I do think there's a level of, women players do want to be coached by women coaches. You don't just. Exactly. So it'll take some time, and that's the thing. It will take some time to happen, and so it'll be a few years before that full influence is seen.
Well, whatever they both choose to do next, both of us wish Tammy Beaumont and Heather Knight great success in the future. And mate, I wish you great success in your 50th surprise day tomorrow. So have a good day, and we'll find out next week how it all went.
Thank you, mate. Cheers.